With that thought in mind, there's a young man here that I first met in 1994, right in New York City at NYU, where they had the first, pardon the word, beat conference. As you know, Jack always felt that was supposed to be beatific, and Lawrence Filighetti won't even go to a reading if he's called a beat poet or a beat painter. Also, the most extraordinary Gary Snyder also doesn't want to go to events if they're called that. And I never knew I was a member of the beat generation until I read about it about 15 years after we did all that stuff. And our staggering record of unemployment and rejection slips proved that it wasn't any kind of fantastic movement like the Trilateral Commission or the Elks Club or the 12 Days That Shook the World. We were just a bunch of people hanging out among many thousands of poets, painters, artists, and free thinkers, and just like it is here at the wonderful Bowery Poetry Club, any place in the world where people hang out and enjoy each other's company. So, with all that being said, it's kind of wonderful to meet Frank and to hear his poetry. And then we went to London right after 9/11. We were invited to, without knowing that was going to happen, invited to an amazing poetry and music festival, and he did some of his poetry there and knocked everybody out. And I've had such a good time with him over the years. He's also the official Mets poet. How about that? So for the people who are going to be studying this summer with the wonderful program that Carrie was kind enough to invite me to do to help to raise the money for it, that's something the kids can know, that you can. Jack was a football player. I was a broken down gym teacher. And the idea of doing sports or doing activities is not necessarily contradictory to being a poet, because poets, like composers, musicians, painters, and other people, were reduced to the comic strip cliche of being professional victims, total loser, infantile personalities, because that was a good place to keep the salaries down, the self-image low, and be a kind of a form of entertainment. And certainly none of us want to be judgmental. But there's a whole lot hipper stuff than that, and one of the proofs of that is Frank Messina, great poet from New Jersey, and what he does is programs with the Mets. All the ball players love his poetry, and before he was the Mets poet, a lot of other people did too, including a whole bunch of people in London that were kind of surly when a group of Americans came over there, and he knocked them all out. So please welcome, all the way from Jersey City, New Jersey, New York City's own Frank Messina.
Yeah, Frank.
Perfect. Thank you. We got a Shea Stadium. Yeah. All right. Do have two greatest hits.
This is a piece entitled Bicycle that David and I recorded together, and I wrote shortly after 9/11, and it's called Bicycle for Juan Gutierrez, delivery boy. Against the lamppost at Cedar and Greenwich, it stands, dusted, war-torn, chained to the moment of its own seized labor, awaiting the return of Juan Gutierrez from a morning delivery at One World Trade. Now a shrine, it stands, decorated with flowers, flags, Spanish prayers. Its wiry basket tied with paper ribbons, gray skeletal frame encircled with melted candle wax, folded letters of farewell, crayon drawn teardrops. On the edge of ground zero it stands, a testament of one life, one story, of a hard-working young man, struggling, moving forward, to a place where bicycles lead to dreams of better days. Better days. Better days. Better days ahead. Of course, a poetry reading would be a poetry reading without a love poem. So David requested that I do that last piece, but also do this next piece, which is a very serious love poem. So everybody's got to listen very carefully. It's called "The Psycho Chick." I was off stage for less than a minute when she appeared from the club's dark corner. The psycho chick. She grabbed my lapels, bit earlobes, whispered stories of Helen of Troy, rollerblading, and the joy of duct tape. We made our way to the bar, we drank Remedies and sucked face and necks for a while. Went to the car and steamed up the windows and we kissed and kissed and kissed and kissed. Goodbye. 3 days later I committed the horrible crime of calling her back, calling her back, calling her back. For more duct tape and more Helen of Troy. I told her she was a nice girl, that I enjoyed her company. After cutting through the small talk, we agreed to meet again. Me and the psycho chick. I took her to see a country western band. Bought drinks and lit her cigarettes. We were the perfect couple. Men tipped their hats and women smiled with approval. But it wasn't too long before the psycho chick began to laugh wildly, licking cigarette butts at the band as they played Johnny Cash and Loretta Lynn. Told her it wasn't polite to do that. They may take it as an act of disrespect and start trouble with me. Because in the South, when a woman insults a man, they beat the boyfriend up. She rolled her eyes, she lit another smoke, and she said, "You're pathetic." Then she reached toward my middle and slowly squeezed until I was blue in the face. Then from under her skirt she pulled out a switchblade and began to flash it wildly. First my fingers, then my eyes, then the rest of me. And in 30 seconds it was all over. There I lay on the floor, a pathetic pile of man bits. She rubbed her palms, clicked her heels, crept back to the club's dark corner. The band finished, the singer bowed, then he slowly too went to the club's dark corner. Oblivious to the impending doom awaiting him in the form of the... Thank you.